peer group that I've grown up in, I've been to primary school, I've spent a large part of my life in, has all been in and around the Macquarie Marshes. It's my family, it's our kids. Well, I grew up here as a kid, so for me, I've got a healthy, happy family, and I've got a healthy business. The health of the marsh is directly aligned with the health and the productivity of my business.
Yeah, great, short, very short, 7-minute documentary about what was happening or what is happening in Australia and the wetland. And I think it was just a really informative piece overall. For something that is really that short, it really did kind of dive into how the ecosystem runs there, the importance of it, what people are doing to kind of preserve that environment and uh, really help keep that ecosystem alive. I feel like there is a lot that can be done because of the entire climate, but the fact that there are people who are acknowledging what's happening and trying their best to really maintain the lifestyle that's happening there for wildlife and just the ecosystem in general is really nice to know that people do care about the environment still and that they're going to take the measures necessary to make sure that the wetlands stay the wetlands and thriving and the animals can still be there. So it was really short but sweet and informative piece. So yeah, really great
Paddle
job.
teaches us about the wetlands, how they function, why they are so crucial to an ecosystem, and also discusses the wildlife that inhabit them and the role that they play in the larger ecosystems around. So it's a very informative piece that has gorgeous cinematography that makes us feel like we're right there exploring the wetlands for ourselves. And from what we see, we certainly wish we were, because they are beautiful and gorgeous, and much like so much of the rest of the environment are at risk if we do not take better care of them.
A great documentary about these Australian marshes and maintaining the ecosystems within the marshes to allow for water for all these different inhabitants of that area. Wildlife, any humans perhaps, but mainly the wildlife, and maintaining the marshes and the many different ecosystems that are there. I don't think this is an issue that's talked about a lot, so it's great that this was the topic of your documentary. You have two individuals in it who are working incredibly close to the preservation of these marshes to help maintain the many different ecosystems that it holds. So that adds a whole emotional appeal to what they're saying, and how important it is for the environment to be well kept and to be maintained. It was very well done. The production is very well done. You encapsulate so many different parts of that environment that most people don't really see. Like, you think a marsh, especially for Americans, you're going to think of like Florida and the wetlands and alligators, but it's so much more robust than that, and you really present that within this piece, and the importance of keeping those areas as pristine as possible to allow many different creatures, and allow the wildlife to thrive there for generations to come. So just very, very well done.
This one has a really important message. I liked how it is describing how interwoven the environment is, and how the success of like one species means the success of another, and kind of juxtaposing that with climate change and with seasonal shifting and all that sort of stuff. It's interesting, and I think the film, it's a very complex idea, I think, to show, because it is like it can turn into like a little bit of like a rat's nest of wires, but I think the filmmakers do a great job at kind of simplifying everything and making it, like putting into bite-sized chunks and making it very clear and cohesive. So great job.
Oh my gosh. First of all, I did not know this about the wetlands in Australia, and I've spent a lot of time in Australia. But this is a story about that country I did not know. I've spent a lot of time there, and so I'm really like floored that like I learned something about some place that I really spent a lot of time in. The way this was shot, I wrote it down. I was like, the way this was shot was so outstanding. I loved this film. It was so beautifully directed, so beautifully edited. The people interviewed were outstanding, really educational, great questions, great answers. I really loved this movie and I learned a great deal. So thank you for making it. Congratulations.
I really, really liked this. I didn't know that this was something that people could do using, like, I think they called it environmental water, to help dictate like a marsh's life cycle, I guess. And being able to kind of keep the marsh alive, even what though the ecosystem has changed in a way that the marsh is more dry than it used to be, and that it is in fact a successful project, and that they can show that it's a successful project because of the life cycle of these different things within the marsh, but these different fish and different wildlife, and having all of those that you can actually be like trackable, like traceable result, and being able to show the community and the government like this project is working, this concept is working. I didn't know that something like that could be done, and so I really liked this because I learned about something completely new, and it's such an interesting way to see how different people are trying to make sure that their important vital ecosystems are still thriving, even though our role in the process has to change, and in this case has to be a more active role.
It's really nice that this is getting out here, that I was able to see it, because I can say I've never seen footage of marshlands in Australia before. It was really interesting to learn about the Macquarie Marshes Nature Reserve. And, first of all, the footage was astounding. It was so beautiful. It's a beautiful place. They took such care with the drone footage, seeing the aerial shots, and seeing, flowing along with the birds kind of gave you a really nice feeling of being engaged, and made this film very, very watchable. And it was really nice to hear from the fellow who's the rancher who's been living there a long time, and it was nice to hear from the scientists who are working there to manage the water flows. And these are things that people like me don't think about, we don't know about. So it's really good that I'm seeing this, and that people are getting out, that this is getting out for people to see. So it was a wonderful job by the crew, and everybody all around. It was beautifully photographed, beautifully edited. The interviews were great. Like I said, loved hearing from the scientists as well as the local rancher. It was a really good to hear from them on this topic. And it's wonderful. I hope this does well for the team. I hope it gets out there and that people learn all about it.